What's happening, everybody? It's your man Dame DNYDC. It's Friday, man. We back with a all new episode of Two Mics Up Business Corner, and I'm excited today because we're sitting down, with a guest who's joining me on the other mic, who's a distinguished entrepreneur that's been recognized by INC magazine as one of the top entrepreneurs to really hit the scene, and he's also a co-founder and CEO of GreenPal. Now, some of you may or may not be familiar with GreenPal, but you're going to learn about GreenPal today. One of the men that's behind this amazing, lawn industry profession that's, has over 300,000 customers and generates $30 million annually. Let that sink in. Let that really sink in, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, I'm going to bring to the other mic today's guest, with 22 years, maybe more by now at this time of experience in the lawn, landscaping, and garden industry. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Bryan Clayton. Bryan, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. It's good to be with you, Damon. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure. I mean, just looking into your history, just really speaking it out loud, you have really put in a lot of work, to really help transform, if you will, the lawn and landscaping industry. But before we really get into that, Bryan, I always have to start at the beginning. Who is Bryan Clayton, the man, when he's not sitting at his desk at GreenPal?
That's a tough one because for me, 22, 23 years of building my first business, selling it, and now my second company, GreenPal, it's always kind of been like, I am my business is me. And so right. The idea of work-life balance, that you can just turn it off and not be, worried about what's going on in the business or thinking about the business or answering phone calls about the business. For me, I've never been able to enjoy that. And so, wow. I identify, I guess my identity is kind of wrapped up in how my business is doing and how I'm doing in my business. So it's hard for me to separate those things. But outside of being CEO of GreenPal, some things that I enjoy doing, I love travel. I'm usually traveling, 9, 10, 11 months out of the year. That's a big thing for me. I like fitness. I like boxing. I enjoy time with my family. I like being out on the water. So those are some things that I enjoy doing outside of my business. But even when I'm doing those things,
you're still working.
Still working. The thing about the mobile phone is that, on the one hand, I'm able to do all these things while working, but then it's never off. And so it's like, it's just, if you want to compete in today's world, I think you kind of always have to be on.
Yeah, and that's very true. I mean, I would have to agree. Just, again, I'm in a different niche here where, I still work my 9 to 5, work the government, but it is true with kind of the pandemic and how things have transitioned from the workspace to where you have that flexibility to work at home and then doing this. That phone is always in my hand. Even when I'm downtime, I still find myself connected, and still, something will come in a conversation. Somebody, hey, like, I have a guest, some publishing houses now that reach out. Hey, I have a guest that, it's never ending. So I do understand, how it's very hard to sometimes disconnect yourself. But I'm also curious to know, Bryan, like, even though you sometimes can't walk away, it's really helped you really achieve, and get to where you've been able to establish yourself in lawn care in that industry. And, from what we've read, you started as a young man, just really mowing the lawns in your neighborhood, while you were in high school. How did that really plant the seed, no pun intended, into you, starting your first business and then transitioning into GreenPal?
Yeah, it really laid the foundation.
Mm,
It was kind of the thing that set me on this path. I didn't really want to be a lawn guy my whole life. It's not
mhm,
really what I set out to do, but that's kind of how it unfolded for me. And
right.
I started mowing yards in high school as a way to make extra money, and then I went to college, and I didn't really want to take on student loans, and I wasn't smart enough for a scholarship or anything like that. So
Mhm,
I yards all day long, and 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 went to night school, and
right.
so it took 7 years to get through college. And so when I graduated college, I had to make a decision. Okay, I've got this business degree now. I can go into the job market, but I'm going to take a pay cut. you know,
Mm,
I'm making more money just mowing people's yards uh,
right.
than if I went into the job market. So it was kind of like, all right, well, maybe this is my lane. Maybe I can build this into a real business. And so
Right.
I took what I did learn in business school and made a little business plan. And I figured if I can do this in 5 years, then it'll be worth it. And it
Yeah.
ended up taking me maybe 3 years. And so I built little by little, kind of working it like a video game, built this little lawn mowing business into a real company.
Right.
Eventually, it got to around 150 employees about 10
Wow.
years later, and it was doing $10 million a year in sales. And then it was
Awesome.
acquired by a national company in the industry.
Okay.
So, you know, my dad forced me to mow my first yard, and had he not done that, then there's no telling how different my life would have turned out.
Look at that.
And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I discovered entrepreneurship at a young age.
Yeah, look at that. I like the story though, just within the story. You know, like you say, because we've had this conversation here on the show as well. You know, everybody is not built or meant necessarily to go to college, right? And like
Right.
like you said, you know, you sometimes you just know your own shortcomings. Your parents might know your child's shortcomings, but you figured out a way, you know, to be able to. And what I took away was a plan. Put a
Exactly.
plan in place, no matter what it is, whether this is something that you like to do, you're passionate about, but if it's something that can get you from an ends to a means, have a plan and
Exactly.
stick to that plan, and then be flexible. Sounds like, you know, you're flexible enough to one, maybe bend and mold and develop that plan into, you know, business A, which took off. And I mean, you took care of so many families and so many different things, and were able to then sell it so that you can move towards where you are with GreenPal. And I'm curious to know, like now in that space, you know, going from a $10 million, you know, entity to upwards of 30 million, like how much more detail was it for you and your partners? I mean, because you know you have co-founders and others, you know, involved. Like how did you all be able to really come together and have a meeting of the minds to really take that next step in that elevation?
Yeah, it was one of so I sold the first company because I had reached like a plateau on my
Mm,
personal growth.
gotcha.
And I didn't really understand it at the time, but one of the cool things about pouring everything you've got into a business is that you grow into a whole new person every 2 or 3 years.
Right.
You're doing things you've never done. You're learning new skills like leadership, management, marketing, copywriting, you name it.
Right.
And so you are growing and evolving, and I didn't understand it at the time, but that was fulfilling to me.
Mm, mhm,
And that was one thing that like made me feel good, that I could
right.
see that growth in myself and see it in the business.
Right.
And that kind of hit a plateau, I guess a year 13 or 14, and I was no longer necessarily challenged by the business in such a way that I was forced to grow. And
Hmm.
so I thought, well, I really I want to explore the next kind of phase of what I'm doing, but I know I need to sell this thing before so I can create the space for that.
Right.
And so when I got the company acquired, it took about 2 years to do,
Hmm.
and then I took some time off and thought, what do I want to do now? And watched the movie The Social Network, and I thought that looks cool.
Right.
Those guys built Facebook in a weekend, and they had 1 million users in I think 6 months.
Pretty
That
much
looks cool.
right.
Why can't I do that? And
Right.
so I thought, well, somebody is going to build a website, a mobile app that works like this Uber thing. It just came out, and Airbnb, which had just came out. And if somebody's going to build a platform like that, but for this industry that I know, it looks so easy in the social network. Why can't I do that? And so it was very much naivete as an asset. I didn't really understand how challenging it was going to be, and that was a good thing because if
Hmm.
I'd known how difficult it was going to be, I never would have done it.
Right.
And so told two friends about it who became my co-founders. They said, I'll quit my job tomorrow and I'll start that with you.
Oh, wow.
And so the three of us just started. We didn't know the first thing about how to build a website or a mobile app or anything like that, but we thought, well, we can pay somebody to do the tech, and then we'll do the marketing, and we'll just be off and going.
Right.
So we made that mistake, and we did that, and that ended up wasting about another year and all of our money. But we did have something that people could try and use,
Okay.
and we got enough validation from that we didn't decide, okay, we're going to have to learn how to build software. We're going to have to learn how to code. We're going to have to teach ourselves these things. And so
Hmm.
there again, all over again, I was kind of starting from the bottom all over again, but now I was growing. I was
Right.
learning things. I was getting that challenge from the project, and that was fun all over again.
Right.
And I'm today now 10 years in, GreenPal is I guess a 10-year overnight success. I'm not the same person I was when I started it 10 years
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah. That's a great thing. Growth and development is key, I believe, for any business owner, anyone that's really trying to develop, their business. You have to develop with it. And I like that you mentioned that. And then too, you talked about the scale of it all, and the one step forward, two steps back, that type of thing. But I could just hear it in your story. But now like you said, in 10 years, overnight success, 300,000 active users is insane. Let's just be real. But I'm curious to know, as you've developed and grown now as a leader and as a CEO, you know, what would you say for you all, as maybe a tip or something to share, maybe someone else might be able to hear, has been the most effective for you in scaling not just GreenPal as a business, but really maintaining that quality service. Because that's to me is the key to how you get that to translate to your staff and to those that are doing the work to keep that service for someone like myself.
Totally. It's one of the things that a lot of founders lose sight of as they grow is they think that these things are going to take care of themselves, and they think they get to a level and they don't have to do customer service anymore. They pay somebody to do that, or they don't have to deal with upset customers anymore because they pay somebody to do that. And one of the kind of simple hacks for me that has constantly kept me focused on what the customer is experiencing is I still do at least an hour or two a day of customer support. I have a team that is constantly dealing with users and customers, but I jump in there at least an hour or two a day to figure out, okay, what are people saying?
Yeah.
What do they like about what we're doing? What don't they like? What do they wish
Right.
we would do better?
Right.
And so in the early days, that's table stakes. You have to do all of your own customer support,
Right.
and the number for the business needs to be your cell number. You need to be.
Hmm.
I believe you should hand crank your first 500 customers, maybe even your first 1,000. And so,
Hmm.
so that's you have to do in the early days. But then what happens is, as you get a little bit of sales, most founders want to delegate that, and then
Right.
this weird thing happens. It's that there's a gap that forms between the customer logic and the founder logic. And so the customer is looking at a set of problems from one perspective, and the
Yep.
founder is looking at it from another perspective.
Yep.
And they're not even speaking the same language.
Yep.
And it's this weird thing. And so the I've been paranoid about that. And so the way I deal with that is at least an hour a day. I'm doing phone support, email support, live chat, and I know firsthand what people are saying and what they're upset about. So that helps me with a couple things. It helps me stay focused on what they want, but also with my team, I can speak with authority and I
Mm.
can say, okay, yeah, no, that's a good idea, but actually, I was talking with Mrs. Smith last Thursday, and in Peoria, Illinois, and she was saying
Right.
X, Y, and Z. So just that firsthand kind of like experience with the people using your product
Right.
can really unlock new innovations. It can keep you on the right track. And most founders commit that mistake of delegating all their customer support, and then they wonder, why people are not
What's
using the
happening?
product.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like that. I call it rose-colored glasses. A lot of times, I've been on the other side. Growing. You get to senior management, get to that level. I know before I got there, I used to always say, what are these people in this office, with these rose-colored glasses? Like, what are they doing and what do they see?
Exactly.
You're sitting up on top of the hill of the mountain. We down here in the battlefield, and you're sending down messages to the troops that, like, well, how do you want me to decipher this mess? Because I don't know what you're seeing. And
Totally.
it really, that's where I'm glad you talked about, because that's where a huge disconnect. But we're gonna take a short pause for the cause, and I want to come back and I want to talk internally, because there is that side where you have your staff and the people who are actually doing the work. And I just want to jump in, and when we come back, and just ask me, like, what do you do to keep the charge of the troops?
Yeah,
Keep
totally.
them spirited up, because I mean that's important too for your success as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a short pause for the cause, and we'll be right back after this quick break.
Two Mics Up Business Corner, brought to you by our partners at 94 Media House. 94 Media House is a small company that provides digital design services to other small business owners and creators. Some of their services include web design, brand identity development, and social media management. And what can I say about our partners over at TD3 Enterprises? They're bringing you quality beyond compare, top-notch services and support under their entire umbrella. Two Mics Up Business Corner, top-notch. So let's get back to the show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back fresh out the break. We're with Bryan Clayton, founder, co-founder, and CEO of GreenPal. We've been having a great conversation, and we were talking about customers before we came out of the break. You know, Now we are going to talk about internally, the care that you provide for your lawn care professionals and those who actually work with Green Power. Like, what do you do, to really listen? What kind of processes? Because that's another key element to be able for you to stay. I mean, look, successful, 300,000 customers. It starts internally. So, what processes do you have in place, to maybe allow employees to share information, experiences, whatever it may be, and to keep the morale up so they can keep going out there and leading the charge? Because I mean, they're the face of the business, really, once they get out there and they're hitting the streets and hitting these homes. So what do you do internally?
Yeah, totally. It's so a couple things. The lawn care services that use our platform to grow their business, they are why we do what we do. They're why I
Mm,
get out of bed in the morning. They are why that we put in the 6 and 7 hour day, 7 day weeks sometimes is to help them grow their business and get where they're trying to go in life.
mm-hmm,
We offer a nice convenience to consumers. They can push a button and get their yard mowed. But for
mm-hmm,
the service providers, that's really who we're able to help them change their life. And so one way we do it is we first off, everybody that's internal on the team has to do a certain number of hours per year in
mm.
the field
Oh, wow.
with a service provider riding in the truck with them.
Wow.
And we
Okay.
have a distributed team. And so it's kind of hard to organize this, but we have one person on the team who's in charge of keeping up with it and making sure that everybody's logging their hours. And so what that does is it everybody on the team knows why we're doing what we're doing. It's to help Chuck in a truck, Peter in a pickup, Molly in a mower, get where they're trying to go in life, help them grow their business. And it constantly focuses them on, okay, this is why it's important we write clean code, or this is why it's important we write really good content for SEO, or this is why it's important that we make sure every user and customer of the platform is happy. And it's because these people's livelihoods depend on us.
Mm,
And if we don't get out and bust it every day, then their livelihood suffers. And
yep.
so that's one way we stay focused. And then we celebrate when these service providers tell us, hey, because of GreenPal, I was able to pay off student loan debt, or I was able to save up and put a down payment on a house, or I was able to, here's a big one, buy a riding lawnmower. You know,
Wow.
you might not think that's a big deal, but you get started in the lawn mowing business, you're
That's a big
pushing all day, and it's
That's
like
right.
you get home at night, and like there's grass all over you, and you
Mm,
just hit the carpet in the living room, and you lay in the middle of the floor for an hour because you are so tired.
yeah.
Like,
Yep.
that's like the day in the life of a lawn care professional. And so when they're able to get into a riding lawnmower, and I don't mean something you buy at Home Depot, I mean a
Yeah,
commercial grade
commercial.
riding. Yeah, these things are
Hmm.
15 grand.
Yep.
once you get stepped up into that, now you can make more money in less time, and you're not breaking your back doing it. And so
Right.
helping these service providers get where they're trying to go in life and in business is really why we do what we do. And keeping the internal team focused on that mission helps kind of solve a lot of the problems with culture and a lot of the problems with bad hires. Because if
Yeah.
somebody's not willing to buy into that,
Yeah.
then they're not a good fit for the
They're not a
team.
good
And
fit.
we need to send them somewhere where they're a better fit and get somebody else in that role, which we've had to do.
Right.
And so having some kind of mission, some kind of reason why we're doing what we're doing helps solve a lot of these problems.
No, I mean that's key. I mean, I just love that because I mean you have to know, like you said, and it has to meet, and in my opinion, supersede or exceed, that mission and vision that you have, not just for the business, but for the customer itself. Because
Right.
you mean this is how you get repeat business, not only for GreenPal, but like you said, for the individual lawn mowing company or service that's being provided. Which again,
Exactly.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I've used the we don't have green power here in the DC area or in my area, but I mean I've used one similar, and I mean it's not a bad service. And I say that to say, like, I've had one or two where wasn't crazy about the provider. So like, what kind of feedback, or how does GreenPal maybe handle somewhere you might get feedback from somebody like myself, like, yeah, okay, well I appreciate the work, because the fees sometimes is not astronomical, but
Totally.
it is the service though is like, they came and they cut it, and that was it. It wasn't really any love behind it. And like, how do you handle that conversation? Maybe let's say with a provider when you've gotten that negative feedback. Is there that type of dialogue between you and your providers? And that man,
Totally. It is something we spent a decade trying to create a better experience on our
mm,
platform with
hmm
hiring a lawn care professional and getting a nice clean mowing done on the day you want,
right,
and then a payment experience that is just straightforward and lines up with what you expected, versus just calling somebody off of Facebook or Yelp or
right, right,
Craigslist and just hoping for the best. And so
right.
so we started off, they were about the same. We weren't that
Mhm.
and it was us doing a lot of like the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes, calling people, spreadsheets, making sure the trains were running on time. But as time
Right.
went on, we started layering in systems into
hmm
and workflows and improving the app to where, okay, now it's twice as good. Okay, now it's
hmm
three times better. Now it's not only better, but it's cheaper. Now it's more reliable, and so making it better and better. And so some ways that we do that. First off, everybody that that starts a lawn mowing business may not be a good fit to run a lawn mowing business. They may
True.
not be taking it seriously. They may
True.
not really care about doing a good job for their customers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's GreenPal's job to demote and
Mm.
maybe even expel those types of service providers. So as the consumer, you don't have to go through this process of getting two or three bad ones before you get a good one. So that's the first thing that we do. We
Like that.
measure and score. Okay, how often do they show up on time on the day they're supposed to? How
Right.
often do they get a booked for a second, third, or fourth visit? That's a big
Yep.
indicator on if somebody's taking this business seriously or not.
Right.
And then also we've got the standard 1 to 5 star review system that everybody's familiar with these days. And so
Mm.
with those means, we're able to understand, okay, these are the good lawn mowing services
Right.
DC that you can hire. And these are the ones that maybe aren't so good. And so then
Right.
you, as the consumer, can make a decision, okay, based on price and reliability, this is what I
Exactly.
want to work with. And
Exactly.
it's taken us a decade to build that. And we have to do it in every single city, every single
Mm.
town has its own market. And it's taken a long time, but now you can jump on GreenPal, you get 4 or 5 quotes back in a couple minutes, you hire the person you want to work with, they come out and do it on the
That's
day they're
awesome.
supposed to, and then you push a button and they just come every week.
That's awesome. I mean, I like that. This the revolutionary style and changes. It sounds that you've made one both internally and externally to make it a seamless process. Kudos to you, because I mean, like I said, it wasn't Green Power, but I know we used one, and man, like you said, it was pretty similar sound and sounding, but just the communication and feedback. And when I sent over some, like, okay, well they came when they said they wouldn't. Yeah, they mowed the lawn, but Yeah, yeah. You know, I mean, if that's the case, I had kept my money. I would have done it myself. The whole point was I didn't feel like doing it. But
Yeah.
that's a whole nother thing. But time flies, Bryan, when you're having fun and a great conversation. And I just want to, touch on one or two things before we close out. One, what's next for you? And is there anything that you can share that maybe is on the radar that people can expect to see? Maybe new, continued revolutionary changes from GreenPal or new products that maybe you're going to be working on in the near future.
Yeah, totally. For me, I'm going to keep running this business as long as I'm having fun and I'm pretty good at it. And
Okay.
I'm pretty good. I'm not I can do a lot better. And we may find out we want to get to 1 million users. We may find out if we get to 1 million, I may suck, and then we'll get a professional CEO in place. But I'm going to keep running this business as long as I'm having fun and I'm doing decent at it. And so that's where I'm going. And then as far as the business, we're working on a feature where you can book somebody without having to wait for a price. So as of right now, you sign up, you put your address in, and then lawn mowing services compete for your lawn and you get bids back. And that takes about, an hour, maybe 30 minutes.
Yep.
And we're working on crunching the numbers on the data to where we understand, okay, Damon, in this zip code, we've got these 3 service providers. They will do it for $38 and they'll be there. And so we're removing more steps, more friction out of the process is what we're focused on.
Man, look, I love the sound of it. I'm sure consumers, be on the lookout, for it if GreenPal is in your area. And I want to make sure, Bryan, before we go, we get you your social media thing, because I want our audience, to get behind you and GreenPal and become a part of your success, because look, man, I'm getting older. I'm over the long thing. And I know what it's like getting on your back and laying down after coming being. Yeah, I'm over that. Yeah. So people, if you're out there and you want a great experience, here's your man, here's your guy. We're going to go ahead and give him a moment to give his social media. So Bryan, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, anybody wants to check out GreenPal, you'll get 5 free prices back in an hour. Go to greenpal.com. Anybody want to hit me up, find me on Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn. You can just Google my name, LinkedIn, it'll pop up. Or if you want to hit me up on Twitter or Instagram, find me at Bryan M. Clayton and just drop me a DM there.
All right. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So we got it on the screen for you. Going to leave it there. You can hit him on IG, LinkedIn. We got the ticket down at the bottom, his website, www.yourgreenpal.com. Go out, support Bryan. Go ahead, give him a look. If you're in this area and you online and you see he's in your area, give it a shot. Yeah, I'd be interested to. I'm pretty sure Bryan would be interested to hear. Take advantage of the opportunities. If you do, let me know. I'd be interested to hear how the experience was. I'm pretty sure it'd be A1. I mean, he sounds like he's a great guy. He's been a great guest. He's doing tremendous things in our community. Thank you, Bryan, so much for taking time out today to sit here with me today, my friend.
Thank you, Damon. I enjoyed it.
Appreciate it. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another 2 Mics Up Business Corner. I'm your man, Damon Cunningham, a.k.a. Dame DNYDC. Business Corners Fridays, 1 p.m. Now on my channel, the Infusion TV channel, which is continuing to air on the Mogul TV Global Network. Come on, check us out. Check out the entire network. 40 plus different types of shows, all positive programming. You can leave your child in front of the TV and don't have to worry about any type of swearing, cussing, nudity, all that craziness that's going on in the world. It's all positive programming. So, like we do at the end of each and every segment, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with 2 things and my favorite point. May you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mike's out.
007.